Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's an honor to speak at the Congreso Futuro. I will talk today about advanced AI systems. Wait, is this working? Here, thank you. So you know that artificial intelligence is the most talked about technoscience today. AI, as you know, is about programming, computers to perform cognitive tasks that we thought were the prerogative of the human mind. And these tasks are very diverse, as we see on the quote. Whoops, this way. And it's very hard to understand or figure out where AI is going, how good it is now. When you look at what is said in the public sphere, so the point that I want to make today is that we should be very concerned about AI. I think that the stakes are very high, but not for the reasons that we usually hear. Not because AI is getting close to human-level intelligence, what they call artificial general intelligence, AGI, not because it's going to overtake human intelligence, and not because it's creating an existential risk for humanity. I don't think that AI, as of now, is on the verge of creating an existential risk, but even if it's not, we should take it very seriously. So I disagree with some of the best minds in AI, like Jeff Hinton, a fellow Canadian like me, who's one of the pioneers in the approach that we call deep learning. So he thinks that machines are getting closer to humans. He thinks that when you ask a question to ChatGPT, for instance, these chatbots, they actually understand the meaning of what you ask them to do. I disagree with them. But of course, if you think that AI is almost at the level of human intelligence, you ask the question whether are we going to be able to control these, powerful systems if they are more intelligent than us? So these people, they worry about, how are we going to control them? I defend in my academic work a view that I call a deflationary view about these claims that are made about the future of AI systems. I don't think that we're on the path toward artificial general intelligence. And the main reason is that human intelligence is at its root a biological phenomenon, right? It's rooted in the fact that we are embodied creature and that we are alive and that we develop many different kinds of faculties and cognitive capacities that allowed us to adapt to our environment. And so our intelligence is radically multimodal. It has many kind of modalities, and not all of them can be acquired by an AI system, I believe. Okay, so I'm not concerned about AI taking over and controlling us, but I'm concerned about the AI systems that we currently use. The best AI systems that are actually being used now, they raise many important ethical questions. And I'm concerned because AI now has become pretty much omnipresent, right? It's ubiquitous. AI is pretty much everywhere. And I give you some examples here of the type of AI systems that actually exist and that we use. We use AI for making important decisions now, right? So in healthcare, like for medical diagnosis, for instance, or in the judicial system, or to decide who's going to have a job interview, and so on. And all these decisions, they they bring into play our very basic interests, right? Our rights and freedoms, for instance, our right to the equal opportunities, our well-being, our health, and so on. So the stakes are high. We use AI also in a less visible fashion, more in the background. We spend a lot of time now online, right? And we use different platforms, our search engines, social media, different streaming platforms, and a lot of the content that we are exposed to online has been selected by AI algorithms, right? That tries to predict what will make you engage, what will capture your attention, and so on. So our field of possibilities is significantly shaped by AI algorithms now. And the last example that I will give, it's the generative AI systems now that are popular, right? So that's ChatGPTs and DALLs and so on. So they are based on what is called large language models, and they are generative in the sense that they generate content that until then, we needed human minds to create such content. So that could be images or texts or videos, music, even podcast interviews now can be generated with these AI. Right? So the stakes are quite high because AI is pretty much in all areas of human life, from the most intimate to the most political now. Okay, so one of the problems with these systems, because they are very impressive, right? Very often they are accurate, but they are all based in the same kind of approach to AI, and it's called, as I mentioned, deep learning, right? So what they try to do, these algorithms, is to learn different patterns from gigantic data set, right? So you train the algorithm, that's the learning phase, and it tries to identify regularities or very broad correlations within huge data set. And what it does, when it identified patterns, then when you use it in real life, the AI is looking for similar patterns similar to those that were seen in the training phase. Okay, so that can be very useful, but one problem that is well known now is that sometimes it's hard to face novel situations, right? So situations in real life that does not perfectly match the kind of data distribution in the training phase. So this is a very basic and fundamental problem because, as you know, human life is open-ended, right? Human life unfolds in unpredictable ways. And of course, we can learn from past experiences, right, to know what to do, to understand the situation, but we can not only rely on what happened in the past to figure out what we should do in the present, because there's novelty, right? There's unpredictability. And these systems are not good at dealing with new events or situation or data. That's the problem of generalizing outside the data distribution in the training phase. And what I'm not seeing, I'm not a computer scientist, but I talk to computer scientists, I read their work, and I'm not seeing any kind of scientific innovation that would allow them to solve that problem. But if we use AI in very high-stakes situations, we need to be able to trust them, right? To know that they will be able to handle new situations, new data points, right, that were not in their training distribution. So what is missing, at least from my philosopher's perspective, they do not have something like logical reasoning. It's not a skill set that they have now. But they cannot compensate by drawing on what we call common sense, right? Sometimes we just know what to do, and it's based on our kind of intuitions or our emotional responses to a particular situation. Of course, they don't have emotions, right? So they cannot do, say, deductive reasoning, but they don't have what we call common sense. And I think that these capacities, are part of what it is to be embodied, to have embodied intelligence. So that creates different problems. So let's say a self-driving vehicle doesn't know what to do in a very unpredictable situation, right? And it happens often on the roads, with other drivers, with the weather conditions and so on. So that's still a problem for self-driving vehicles. If we look at large language models, you probably heard that they are said to hallucinate, right? I don't think it's the right concept, but sometimes they produce falsehoods, right? They don't give the right answers. They make things up because the answer to our question was not seen often enough in their training, right? So they confabulate answers to our queries. So you see, these are very basic limitations with the most advanced models, and you don't understand that if you listen to those who think that we are almost at human level intelligence. Now, the last set of issues that I want to raise, now I engage with what we call the epistemic limitations, right, of AI system. Epistemology is the branch of philosophy that deals with knowledge and beliefs and so on. Now I want to move to the ethics of artificial intelligence, because these epistemic limitations, they create ethical risks, potential harms for humans. And now, fortunately, there's this field of philosophy that we call AI ethics that is very vibrant. And in AI ethics, we work on all these issues that I listed here. So it's too long, I cannot review them all. But it goes from the fact that these deep learning systems are black boxes, right? They are opaque, right? You cannot look at the code and say, oh, that's why it took that decision, right? So it makes it very difficult to understand why they do what they do. You probably heard that sometimes they are biased, even if they don't have feelings and so on. Sometimes they're still biased. One set of issues that worries me is about human flourishing and our cognitive development, right? So if, say, the students in my classes, they always use an AI system when they have to write something or to create new images or content and so on, perhaps there are important skills that they will not develop because they don't use AI system, generative AI, wisely. Okay, so these are all the issues studied now in AI ethics. And just to give a very tragic and sad example, very recently we learned that a teenager committed suicide, and his mother suspects that a generative AI, a chatbot, had a role in his decision to commit suicide, right? The chatbot had very inappropriate conversations with the teenager. So this is just one example among many. So I've been involved with different initiatives trying to figure out, so what should be the values that would guide the development of AI systems. These are two examples that I was involved with. But the problem is that these recommendations and codes and so on, they list very abstract ethical principles, and that's important, but it doesn't constrain the developers, right, to respect specific ethical and legal obligations. So now I think that we're at the phase where we have to move to robust regulation of the activities of those who are developing AI systems and those who are using AI systems. So ethics now should provide kind of the ethical content of hard legal regulations that will create new obligations for those who are developing AI systems. And some countries are trying to draft AI legislations, but it's too slow at the moment. So that's also part of my work with my students at McGill University. Okay, and one last point, maybe one lesson that you will draw from my talk is that okay, so maybe AI is not positive, right? Maybe we shouldn't use AI so much. And I do think that we haven't found the right kind of framework now for integrating AI in these high-stakes situations. But I want to point out that AI can be beneficial also. It doesn't only raise risks. It can also be beneficial. But I think that the framework is not artificial general intelligence. It's to see how artificial intelligence can extend human cognition or augment human cognition. And in the best case, in the best examples, AI can extend human cognition. And this is a very interesting study that was just published. It was shown that if you have, very often you have two radiologists looking at scans and trying to see, okay, is there like maybe breast cancer appearing on these scans? And you have two, so that you have two perspectives, two expertise on the issue. It was shown that if one of the two radiologists uses a machine learning AI algorithm, well, it improves the quality of the diagnostics, right? So 2 humans plus 1 AI outperforms 2 humans, right? It's not surprising, but the improvement is significant. Perhaps at some point we could move to 1 human and 1 AI instead of 2 humans, so the other radiologists could work on other cases, right? So, but we have to understand that because of the limitations that I mentioned earlier, it's not about replacing human judgment and human expertise. It's about how we integrate their tools with their strengths and their limitation within our human-based practices and institutions. So my last point is this: now we really need to ensure what we can call meaningful human control over AI systems, and this requires new rules, new institutions that will allow us to, ensure that control over AI systems in a way that humans are not only in the loop, but that humans actually, are capable of validating the outcomes of AI systems, and that we maintain human judgment and expertise. So I think that now policymakers and legislators, they need to find the new legal framework that will ensure meaningful human control over AI. Thank you very much.